Thank you. And it's actually Bobette. Or Joanna.
What?
Well, good evening, everybody. I just welcome everybody to our welcome back to our commission meetings. We are now starting back with our 6 months, and I think we are ready to move into the roll call. If Bobette, you'll take it away, that'd be great.
Okay, it's my time to do the roll call, right? Right. Dwayne Barton, Norma Baines, Renetta Conyers, Chris Gordon,
Present.
Kimberly Jones, Dewana Little is here,
Here.
Dwayne McAfee, Glenda McDowell,
Here.
Dwayne Richardson, Raynetta Waters, D. Williams, MZ Yehuda, and Keith Young.
You didn't call my name.
Who are you? Oh, Mr. Osandu. I am so sorry.
Dang, the disrespect.
Miss Norma Baines. I'm gonna go back through it again because Miss Norma Baines is on. I see.
Yes, I
And Keith just dropped. He'll be back on.
She's on. Who did?
Keith Young.
Yeah, I got him. I see him. He's as a note taker. And Mr. McPeters. I'm sorry. I'm
And
sorry.
MZ is
It's
here
okay.
too.
It's all right. I forgive you. It's all love.
Just this time, huh?
No,
Okay.
always love.
Okay. MZ, I can see. I just want to hear your voice. MZ, are you on?
I think he put something in the chat.
Well, I don't have him on here. I think I've called everybody. So according to this, we have 7 people, but we need 9 to have a quorum.
Hello, Bobette. Renata says she can't get on. Did you send her?
I wasn't sending them out.
Okay.
But she contacted you.
Yeah, she's on the phone now. She says she can't get on. Renata Connor.
Yeah. Renata Conyers, yeah.
Can you get on now, Renata? Did you send it to her email?
Salah, you on mute.
Salah, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm just speaking. I'm trying to resend it. If she's not able to get on, is it because she doesn't have the link or is it because the link is not working? But I'll resend it.
Did you hear that, Renata?
Tell her it's Google Meets, not it's not a Zoom link. It's in the Google Meets.
It's in the Google Meet, she says. No, she said she still hasn't gotten it.
Try some.
Let me see.
They're trying to get you on, I think.
I just resent it.
She, Salah said she just sent it, resent it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I see her email in the when I'm looking at the guests.
I'm sorry. Hold on. All right.
Ms. Bangs, did she get it?
She's told me to hold on. She's still trying.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of move forward as she figures that out. I did send it to her. Vernisha, our facilitator, unfortunately was not able to join us today. So you guys are stuck with me. I will be your facilitator for today, for this meeting. Excuse me. And so our objectives for today is we're going to do a recap of our retreat, as well as do a follow-up and report out for the community engagement piece and the 501c3 follow-up and report out, and then talk about some next steps. So if you guys are ready, we're going to go ahead and jump into the retreat recap. I will share my screen. There are several people who were not able to attend the meeting on the retreat on the last month on the 22nd. So I just wanted to be able to kind of go over that really quickly. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but wanted to be able to share that for the individuals who were not able to attend. And then we will hop into doing our report out. Are you all able to see my screen? Do I need to make this large?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So for our retreat, remember we had seven items that you all talked about that you wanted to move forward with for this extension. And during the retreat, we talked about like what would be the most impactful when we talk about these items. And the two things that you all came up with was community engagement and the creation of the 501c3. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we did not land on doing the Black Chamber, just the creation of the 501c3. So this document right here is the results from the retreat and what we decided to do. So for the community engagement, the CRC will move forward with community engagement. The focus will be on working with the legacy neighborhoods and the housing communities. A total of 6 members will work on this. So I know that you all had, I bet you canceled, was the meeting last Thursday canceled?
No.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, I thought I saw a cancellation. And then the second item was the creation of the 501c3. So the CRC voted to reach out to the RSAA and other organizations to have them present at the next CRC meeting, which is this meeting, to determine who they would like as a fiscal agent or partner moving forward. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for this one and go to the work plan. And we'll look at the updated work plan template. So we worked on the work plan. Are you all able to see this? I'll make it bigger if I need to. See if I can make it bigger. And on the work plan, there were some action items for the community engagement. And your action items were the members of this group will reach out to each of the communities that they're connected with to discuss their individual engagement plans. Dewana Little will set up the Zoom meetings for these meetings. I believe that Dewana and Babette worked on that together. And this group will meet on April 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. virtually to discuss their findings. And then your timeline and what we're supposed to do is to come back and report out at this meeting what you accomplished. And then the second item that you all were going to work on was the creation of the 501c3. Again, your action items, several of the CRC members will reach out to other organizations and share their names with staff to add to the agenda for this meeting, this next meeting, which is today. I did not receive anything until I think I received something over the weekend from Tiffany Debelow. And so, but we had already created and posted the agenda, and Eagle Market Street is someone that she is referring and would like to take into consideration for becoming a fiscal agent for you all. Does anyone have any questions with regards to this update from the retreat? Okay, so I'm gonna stop presenting and then we'll go to the next item on our agenda, which is, sorry, I'm going from screen to screen, is the next item on the agenda is to talk about the update on the community engagement piece. So I'm not sure if that's going to be you, Babette, or you and Dewana together discussing the meetings that you all had and what you came up with when it comes to the community engagement piece. You're muted.
Bobette, you still on mute.
I get off because my dog barks. So hey, I'm on. Dewana, you go ahead. You go first.
Well, at the community engagement meetings, our task was to reach out to organizations and community to just see where everyone was at since the storm and see how we wanted to move forward if there was any new input and any new concerns or issues that was not covered with the other recommendations. And so we met twice, and we discussed several things from community development to support of churches, our historic churches, to how the best way to move forward. And then I will let Babette and some of the members from those meetings speak now.
Can I interject for just a moment before you start, Babette? So I know that when we were at the retreat, we discussed you all looking at the neighborhood plans, taking information from those individual neighborhood plans and then making them into one plan, right? Like a master plan. Is that how you all are moving forward now, or has that shifted?
It's just moving forward in that direction is what you're saying.
Okay.
So what I would say is that it was a good meeting, both meetings. We were able to, no one dominated the meeting. We all got a chance to say how we felt and where we're going forward. From the first meeting, from the meeting we had the 17th, we were supposed to go into the neighborhoods and find out what people actually wanted. So I did send out some information that I got from Renee White about East End Valley and someone over in Burton Street area about their homes in Burton Street, a woman's house in Burton Street, where I think that they were talking about, it's about to foreclose. I think she sent that, but the one that she sent the most was a house in East End Valley where it had been there for many, many, many years. And it had kind of gone down and the family couldn't afford to get it, to put it back up. And they want to help them. I know Community Land Trust wants to help them to get it out of foreclosure and to be able to, the family to come back and stay in the house when they do the renovations of it. That was something that I asked her what was important to the community. And the other thing was, you know, they got that, I think it's at Cappadocia Church, and they're going to make it, it's historically Black, and they've got that, and they want to turn that into apartment living. And so that would be something that they would have, but that'd be part of what I think the land trust will be doing with that part. So I encourage everyone to go to these association meetings because you won't know what the community is thinking if you don't go and talk to them. So I did do that one, and I did Shiloh. And the things that came up with some of the people that I talked to in Shiloh was about the churches that were like over 100 years old that have not been able to be in repair because of they couldn't get loans or grants or any kind of funding to keep the churches, and the churches are starting to have some problems because they are so old. There is a church in, I think it's Swananoa, and I think it's called New Salem Baptist Church, and they're having some difficulties, but we didn't know whether or not if us trying to engage with them would have anything to do with the damage that they had from FEMA. So that was something we were looking into. But there are some churches that are in need. There are some places on, we've talked to on Rock Hill Road, which is very difficult. And I know Ms. Baines has already submitted information to them, the city, about the fact that some people's neighbors have sewer and septic, and some people have, you know, water and sewer, and others just have water and septic. And so we want to find out we need to get more information on if the city is gonna take that up, because that is harm, because the houses that are affected are really like older houses, or houses that they don't have, the pipes are not wide enough to take them into another area, you know, where houses are, to move it down. So some people are stuck with septic tanks. So we talked about that. I think Osandu had some stuff to say, so I'm not the only one that was talking. Y'all talk now.
So
Osandu.
so one of the questions that we had is two, and I think Mr. Brad may be able to answer some of these, is that we're looking at in some of the recommendations are that we have for community engagement and assisting our communities with these repairs or these harms, is if we have members of the commission who are part of organizations that are either doing the work or contracted for the work, is that something that will be allowed for funds to be used if it's commingled between commission members and the work that's actually being done? So it's more like a contracting question. That was one of the things we were talking about, and I purposely missed this conversation, but there was also conversation about how with the DEI things that are going on or happening, how that affects the funding in general. So we're kind of needing clarification, I know, tonight about those two things as far as ways in which we move as far as proposal for recommendations.
If I could jump in for just a minute, in regards, in connection with what Babette and Osandu were saying. For example, with me as a general contractor, we were curious as to whether or not I could work with the commission, work with the subgroups to help offer technical assistance on certain matters. And so we just wanted to make sure we were moving in a way that was in accord with the rules of the commission, and that is one of the major things that we discussed. And Babette can go back from there.
So, Mr. Richardson, I'm going to allow Brad to answer clarification. So when you said as a contractor, work with them, are you looking to be paid?
What I've always said is I can discount my labor, but I cannot those around me.
Okay. Brad, would you like to respond? Because I think this lends to the conflict of interest conversation that took place at the retreat on last month. And
Yes.
so I did inform Brad that probably would be a conversation that was going to come up in this meeting. So I'm going to allow Brad to take the floor.
All right. Thank you, Salah, and good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back with you. I'm going to answer this question to the greatest degree that I'm able tonight, but let me start out by saying that as we move through this process, this type of an issue is going to come up more often than not. Just given the size of our community, the nature of the kind of work that so many of you are doing and have done separate from this particular organization, these particular questions and potential conflicts are going to rise again. So I really encourage you to continue to ask these questions, continue to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you work your way through them. The general rule is this. With regard to these types of things, there's really two questions. The first is that any of the money that's been put away for the reparations process, either from the county or the city side, still must meet what I'm just going to generally call the public purpose test, okay? So remember that the answer to one of these questions does not necessarily answer the question to the other. But each time that we expend those funds, we still have to meet that public purpose test, okay? The recommendations that this group have put forward have been vetted. We've given you our recommendations on those things, but remember that that's going to be a factor each and every time. Assuming that we get past the public purpose and that we have an authorized expenditure that the city or the county can make, the next question that I'm asking is, if you have a situation where your particular entity that you're associated with may end up benefiting from that or doing some of the work, let me say this. It is something that you need to bring to our attention every single time. This does not mean that it can't happen. What it means is that a conflict of interest may be in place. A conflict of interest does not mean that the recommendation cannot go forward. It means that you, who may have the conflict, needs to recuse yourself from that particular vote. Okay. So as we go forward, Mr. Richardson, perhaps if there was a situation where we had a recommendation that may end up awarding your particular business work from these funds, what I would recommend to you is there's likely a conflict of interest there. And what we need to do is just make sure that you're recused from any votes you would take between now and then on that particular item. And then if the city council or the county commission voted to use those funds and it awarded business to your particular firm, we're okay. They can do that as long as the person with the conflict of interest has not had a say in making that final decision. So the most important things I want everybody to remember about this is remember that you've still got to answer the public purpose question every single time. We've got to have a viable expenditure. Second, you may have a conflict of interest. If you think you do, bring it to my attention. But if there is a conflict, it doesn't mean that the issue can't go forward. We just have to take the necessary steps to get you there. So hopefully that gave you some more clarity, and hopefully that laid the map out for everybody in this process going forward, because this is going to come up again and we can get you through it.
Thank you. Absolutely. It speaks directly to it. Thank you.
So don't go anywhere, Brad. We did have another question. We were talking about housing, the housing authority, and we were talking about the fact that housing authority is under HUD. So would we get into that with housing, with HUD being the one that's financing this their thing, if that makes any sense? What we don't want to do is we didn't want to say, okay, we're going to do something with housing and whatever it looks like, and we started to do it in HUD with the things that's going on now, and HUD was to decide, well, we're not going to give any more funding because they're already getting funding from what they're doing with their reparations program. How does that look?
Yeah, this is a good question, and this question may come up in a variety of contexts. So I'm going to encourage this group to ask this question again as well as you continue to move forward. The landscape around what people are referring to generally as DEI now is a changing one, and it is dealing with legislation at the state level. It's dealing with executive orders coming out of the White House. We're seeing the playing field change all around us from a day-to-day basis. So an answer I may give you today might actually be different next week. So I will continue to watch this as I'm doing on behalf of the city and keep you as updated as I possibly can. But to answer your question, anything that you would do around housing, number one, remember that both the city and the county have their own independent authority to spend money towards housing initiatives if it is affordable housing. Okay, that's the most important aspect. In that regard, you may or may not need to involve the housing authority at all. Now, they're certainly a partner of the city, they're a partner of the county, they're a partner within this community, but the city and the county, with the funds that it has put forward, has the spending authority already granted to it to spend money on affordable housing initiatives. So those things can happen. What I would encourage you to do, though, is to ask these questions directly to the housing authority as well. What you don't want to do is not have all the information when you make these sorts of decisions, because, as you know, the housing authority has their own money, their own allocations from HUD that they're doing things with. You don't want to duplicate those efforts. You want to supplement to make those efforts go further. The same is true for the city and the county. Both are receiving money through HUD as part of the Helene recovery effort. And therefore, utilizing monies that you would like to see spent on these things, it's going to be very important for you to understand what the city and the county are already doing so that you aren't duplicating those efforts. But do remember that even though HUD is providing money directly to the housing authority, money that the city and the county have put away for the reparations process are also eligible dollars to be spent on affordable housing initiatives. So just something to keep in mind.
Thank you. Anybody, these are questions that we probably should have been asking 2 years ago, but I'm glad that we're finally getting around the corner to ask it, because if you don't know and if you don't ask, then we're just in a mess. So I think those were the things that Salah, that we were really talking about, and the next step for us was that we have to really sit down and consciously think of things, because we do have a small window, which, you know, we all said that it's possible we could get some things done in that small window, but it means that we got to do some work. So we've decided that instead of focusing on what we haven't done, we got to focus on what we're going to do and how we're going to get it done. And that's going down to the basics to tell the city and county how we want to propose to do what we do with our money, with the money that's given for reparations. So that's where we are. So we'll continue to meet. And so since we have, what is it? How many can we have on the on that board for community engagement now, since we have so many more people?
Right.
And
So
explain that process so people will know.
is it that, do you all have 7? How many do you have in that group? Is it 7 or 8?
It's
Part of
7.
It's 7.
7. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we have 16. Do we have 16?
We have 19 commissioners,
Okay.
and for us to meet, we would have to have 9 people here for this meeting. But I know the call meeting is different.
So you can't have a quorum. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, as they're meeting, and they're meeting in these these separate meetings for community engagement in the 501c3. They cannot have a quorum, right? Or it has to be noticed and open to the public, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. So you've got 19 members. So the general rule is keep it below 50%. You're fine to proceed to talk about business as long as you have 9 or fewer in those meetings. If you get to 10, we need to go through the process of treating it just like one of these meetings and noticing it. And there's a lot more to go through. So consider 9 your ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Bobette, so you said the next steps for you all is to sit down and just kind of be conscious about how you want to go forward and spending
And
the
being
money.
specific. Yeah, being
Right.
specific.
But
So my question, hold on, Tawana, just a second. So are you all looking at your recommendations? Have you taken a look at the recommendations and see how they fit into the work that you're trying to do?
Yeah.
so that's the big part of the work, is when she's saying be conscious and sit down and know how we want to proceed. And so some of our recommendations are outside of the city and county and would lean towards, like, even the housing authority or the school board, the educational IFAs. So some of our recommendations are outside of the city and county. So as we are now have a better understanding on those on the parameters, our current parameters, we all are vetting the recommendations we've already submitted. That was the charge from our last meeting, is to review those recommendations and see how it ties into what's already happening in community with the city and county and other groups, and see how we can either further that work or make support the recommendations by offering other options, because recovery is happening, and that's one thing we did discuss, is the recovery aspects of it. I wish Dwayne Barton was here so he could speak to it, but recognizing that recovery is happening, and how do we tie into what's already happening with the recommendations that we have, and be able to support or bolster that. And so, yeah, that is definitely the conversation.
Okay.
And the charge that was given from our last meeting was to review our previous recommendations.
Okay, and just to clarify, you all are looking at recommendations that are under the purview of both the city and the county, not outside that purview, right?
Right.
We're looking at all
Right.
all the recommendations, because all of them are still recommendations.
Okay.
But we saw that some overlapped with. We didn't want to redo something, and I wish Dwayne Barton was, because what he said, and I had asked him, I said, please type it up so all of us could have it, because what he said, you know, an example he gave, we don't want to go into doing something reparations on the block when they're revitalizing the block. That would be an
Mhm.
overlay of us into that where we could pour our money into something else. And
Mhm.
so those are the things that we're thinking about. So we encouraged each other to go back and look at all of the recommendations that were made and see how they tie with each other out so that to come into community engagements in the 501c3. So that'll be, homework we do the next time that we come to meet.
Okay. Are you all meeting bi-weekly? So are you meeting twice a month on Thursdays?
Probably.
Okay. All right. It would be great if you guys had some type of schedule you can just kind of share out when you
Okay.
guys are meeting. That would be great. So I see Dee has her hand up. Go ahead, Dee. Go ahead, Dee.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. I have not been here for quite a while, and I do apologize for my absence at the retreat. But I would just say to you that whatever the majority of y'all want to do, I am for it. I am ready to move on with my life, and I certainly wish you all so well. So if there's anything I can do, please let me know. Um, there's a lot lacking in our community. And one of the things that we all need to do, which I did, was declare conflicts of interest. And we need to be really honest about it. It is the interests of this community that are in effect. A lot of y'all are newcomers to this area. I'm a native, and I do care about people here, but I do know that there are some of us who are on the outside, and it doesn't matter what skill level we have, but if we're on the outside, we are kind of, and I'm willing to relinquish that just as long as the people who are here are taken care of. So I wish you all so well. And whether or not I'm on a committee, it doesn't even matter to me. I express my conflicts of interest with the city attorney. And keep in mind, you folks, there's a due diligence process that the city has that cannot be ignored when you're talking about a real estate transaction. It has to be in the public interest. You heard the city attorney, and I've gone through that, and I attempted to disclose my participation with several groups in that process.
Dee, I think you're frozen. Okay, we'll wait for Dee to get back on and get that figured out. And then, Bobette, I do have a question for you or the rest of you that were in the community engagement meetings. Did you all look at any of the plans for the respective neighborhoods? So I hear you saying like there were churches and there, there's homes and things like that. But were you able to kind of look at the plans that they've had? It's my understanding that there's the Legacy Neighborhoods said that there are plans that they've been holding on to for a while, and it doesn't seem like there hasn't been any attention paid to them. So I want to make sure that we're also taking a look at those plans. We're doing our due diligence to look at those plans and make sure that we're considering what's already in those plans as well.
Yeah, we are. Like I said, we were taking. I was doing East End Valley and Shiloh.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwayne Barton was going to do Burton Street. And DeWanna was going to do, was it housing? Yeah, she was going to do housing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that what we have to think about next is what does all of that look like? Because I've said, if you see the neighborhood plans, they're not little. It's a lot. But if you really get down into them, and people like that have been doing it for a while can tell you without even you having to read it, what is the most important things in the neighborhood plans. You really have to get out to those neighborhoods and get to their meetings and find out exactly what what is it that we can do now? How do we start now? Instead of saying, well, this is a broader picture, but we've got to show that we're doing something now. We've started something, we've got something in place. If they don't see us doing any work, then that makes it rough on us. So we've got to have a plan. So that's what we're doing now. And I'm glad the group that was with us, I'm glad because we're working. we asking each other questions, trying to find out what we need to do and who didn't do something. And it's amazing. And I'm grateful. And they come.
Yeah, that's
They would
good.
have patience with me because they knew I didn't know how to make a Zoom call. They got it.
It's good. It's good.
It
to
was,
hear
it
that.
was rough. It was rough, but they waited on me. I said,
Right.
yeah.
So the neighborhood plans, one thing is I have attended the Legacy Neighborhood Connection, and that's with just about all of the legacy neighborhoods. I think mine is Stumptown. But for the most part, most of the legacy neighborhoods are represented, and they are updating their plans because some of their plans are kind of aged a little bit based on the new parameters and the new conditions that each neighborhood is under. And so I know that that work is happening, and as well as us being able to be a part of, continue to be a part of that conversation as the needs have shifted, given the original implementation of the plans and now. And so I know that they're looking at that and vetting that against some of the newer issues that have arisen. And so we are keeping our eye on that and preparing to work through those plans with the neighborhoods.
Okay, thanks, Dawana. So my question is for those who are not able to attend the community engagement meetings or are not a part of those community engagement meetings, do you have any questions or feedback for this group as they prepare to go back and start meeting and continuing this work? Any questions or comments, feedback, things that you think they've shared a lot? Do you think there's something that they're missing, something that they need to add?
If I could throw this into the mix, in keeping with what Brad has said, there will be people amongst us who will have skills that can be brought to bear for the commission once we have answered the legals of that, and then what way the various expertise that we may have amongst us can be utilized for the commission. I think we would be wise to continue to look internally amongst each other to make sure that we are using as Dwayne would say if he were here, that we're hustling together first, and that we are making use of the things that are right here amongst us, obviously in accord with the conflict of interest, legals, laws, those things, but making sure that as we review our recommendations, we also, where we have technical assistance among us, that we first vet the possibilities of using that, because we know that we will be on board with one another, have each other's back, that type of thinking. Mm-hmm. But so I just want to make sure we match up our recommendations with technical assistance that may be already within the group.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Dawana, Babette, or anyone else who can answer this question. So the plans are being updated. That's being updated by the respective legacy neighborhoods. That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And are these the plans that have been reviewed and adopted by the city?
Yeah, and actually the city was at the meeting when city representatives was at the meeting.
Okay.
When they discussed the plan updates. Okay. Just identifying that. So city staff is definitely a part of the conversation.
Okay, perfect, great.
So what we want to do is we want to go as this group, this part of community engagement, is to go into one of their legacy neighborhood meetings. So then that would be, you would catch them all at the same time. And so we could probably ask some questions then or get some information.
So that's going to be a part of your next step. So let's go to like, what are your next steps? I know you guys are going to meet again, but what are your next steps when you meet?
Next steps is definitely to attend the legacy neighborhood cohort that's working together to their meetings and be able to ask questions and support them in any way that we can with our expertise. But also to vet the recommendations that we've already submitted and get a better understanding on what's already being done as a part of the recovery process, that is already supporting our recommendation, and where the gaps are, so we can formulate a plan around those areas, while considering our own expertise. And if any legal questions come up, to talk to Brad.
All righty. Do you all have anything else that you want to add or discuss when it comes to the community engagement piece? Yes, Dee. You're muted.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
So sorry, I did have an incident with my PC, but wanted to let you know that there is a long-term recovery group, and one of my goals has been to get Black-led or African-American-led nonprofits into that. So they are tapping into a system that is going to have federal funding from HUD, from FEMA, from the state, federal government, that allows them to repair and also to build affordable housing. So I haven't heard a whole lot of that. I was out for a minute trying to get back, but did want to let you know that that is ongoing. Habitat's also a member. A couple of nonprofits I represent or have worked for are members. So there's that is where the emphasis is. If you're not doing housing, just like Buncombe County, they've discounted and omitted any other funding. If you're not doing affordable housing, they do not want to talk to you. And that is just it. So I wanted to let you know that little piece of information if you haven't. It's called the Long-Term Recovery Group, led by Nathan West, and also endorsed by Buncombe County. And also, I've seen a few people from the city there as well. So just wanted to let you know. Thanks.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dee. And there are 2 Black organizations that's on the board for that, RSAA and ZEDIC. Foundation. Well, ZEDIC is not a Black organization, but it works with Black community, and it's led, and the executive director is Black of that organization, and both of them are on the board of the LTRG, and so I definitely got ears to the ground for that as well. But that's a big part of the community engagement work, and next steps is vetting what's already been done and seeing how we can get a better understanding around that, the work that's already been done in community. Thank you, Dee.
Thank you both. And thank you all for all the work that you're doing. You've done a lot since the retreat. So kudos to you all for all that you're doing and all that you're about to do. If we are done with the community engagement follow-up and report out, we'll move to our next item, which is the 501c follow-up and report out. And Dawana, I'm going to give you the floor for that piece.
So, hi. So, at the retreat, we did discuss and agree to vetting organizations that could potentially be the organization, the container for this reparations work. RSAA was definitely talked about at the retreat, but there was also the opportunity to for our commission members to recommend organizations, and that's another place where the conflict of interest came up as well, Brad. If we contract, if a commission member contracts or works with an organization that is being recommended, the potential for a conflict of interest. And so I think you pretty much talked about that, but if you don't mind, could you speak on that again for me, Brad?
Yeah, I'll be happy to, Dwana. Are you now referring to companies that would work with the 501c3 going forward?
Like individual commission members who are contracted or work for or with or chair a board or a board member of the institution that's being recommended.
Yeah, I see. It's going to be a case-by-case situation, but most of those have the potential to be conflicts. Again, that doesn't mean that it necessarily can't happen. it means we have to take the proper steps. So be safe rather than sorry. Bring those to me. When you get to the point where you're considering something specific, make sure we're aware of that. Salah and I, we can go through those and help you all navigate that. So it's always a possibility. It's going to be a case-by-case determination, but ask the questions early. When you have the specifics, we can help answer them and navigate you through it.
So
Thank
Brad,
you,
is
sir.
that the one? And
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry to
Alessandro.
interrupt you, but is it specifically like with the position that the possible commission member is in that would dictate the like the complexity, or is if it's if it's a conflict of interest, or is it just the organization itself?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's primarily going to be the members' role in the organization what matters. And look, here's a very easy way to think of it. If the decision gives you the ability to potentially gain financially from that decision, that's almost always going to be a conflict. Now, exactly, what that means, if you're a volunteer versus the owner, there may be some differences in there, but keep in mind that it's more than likely that a conflict exists if there's money changing hands that you may benefit from. So keep those in mind. Again, we'll have to analyze them on a case-by-case basis, but just the fact that you're asking a question, again, is important, and it helps us to allow you to know what the obstacles are that we have to avoid going forward.
Thank you for answering that.
Does anyone else on the commission have any questions around that that they need clarity?
I saw Dee raise her hand, but it looks like she popped off again. She's joining. Dee, are you there?
I'm having a number of issues, but one of the things that I want to distinguish is the fiscal sponsor from an organization that is going to take the operation over. If you're going to be a fiscal sponsor, it means it's a temporal basis, and it means that this organization should have a life. And I don't want to get complicated here, but I told you, that's the only reason why I am here, is to make sure that things are as they should be. And I think the county appointed me for that reason. If you're GAP, generally accepted accounting principles, and you want to be a fiscal sponsor, that is one thing. But if you want to take the overall operations of reparations over, and this is public funding, then we have another discussion on our hands. So what is it? Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. So Dawana, were you all able to meet at all to talk about the 501c3? I know the request at the retreat was for individuals to come back or to at least send me a list of people that they wanted to present at this meeting. I received an email, I saw it this morning from Tiffany Debelow that she sent over the weekend stating that she would like to propose the commission look at Eagle Market Street, Miss Stephanie Swatson-Twitty, to be considered as a fiscal agent. And so are there any other individuals here? And I see your handy. Give me just a second. Are there any other individuals here on the commission who have any suggestions?
So we have not had a chance to meet to discuss that. They had a deadline of the commission was given a deadline of April 7th to submit recommendations. But I think because the conflict of interest conversation was still like up in the air, that there was no, people didn't make recommendations because of that that potential conflict of interest. And I think that from this meeting moving forward as a next step around community engagement is to open that back up for 2 weeks, because at our next board meeting, our next commission meeting, we will be hopefully able to have presentations from those organizations that are being recommended to the full commission, so that they can talk to the full commission, because I feel like the full commission needs to have all the information in order to make an informed decision on which way we go with that. And I think the holdup was the conflict of interest, is why people did not necessarily make recommendations. But with the clarity that Brad has provided, hopefully that does open up the opportunity for people to make recommendations prior to. The key is prior to, not the day before our board meeting, but a 2-week deadline. And I'll look at my calendar and in 2 weeks from today, post the deadline so that other people have an opportunity to make recommendations. I know RSAA will definitely be at our next board meeting to give updates and answer questions. And then I see Eagle Market Street Development Corporation has been recommended. So I think Stephanie is amenable to being at our next meeting as well. And so I'm not sure about other organizations at this moment. And Dee's hand was up first, and then Bobette.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And so I am somebody that deals with the written word, because that's the only thing that's legal. All this verbiosity doesn't even matter. Is there an RFQ or an RFP for these organizations that want to take over? I'd like to see their financials, not only their income and revenue statements, but also their balance sheets, how much debt they're in, all of that, because it factors into how well they're able to execute. And then I want to talk about the time limits and the parameter of what those duties are. They should not, let me be very succinct with y'all. This is a very temporal. A fiscal agent, as we talked about, is something that's very temporal. It is not permanent placement. And so you also allow for the formation of your own 501c3. And there were some of us who were not at table last time to talk about these very specifics, but I am here for that, to talk about the capabilities of these so-called nonprofits. And if they're marginal and they've not, and their financials exemplify that, I want to know that. Why is there not an RFQ rather than who you like and who you know? No, this is public money. This is taxpayer money we're dealing with. We're not, and I'm going to cease with that because I know how unpopular I can be, but I don't give a damn. I'm here to serve. And this is for the people in Asheville who need help. I'm a native, so I know they need help. So I'm asking you, why are you talking to these people? I want complete proof that they're able, and I want the parameters of what a fiscal agent is. Are you talking about somebody to take on the public taxpayer dollars? Because if they are not, and they're in a weakened financial position, I mean, we need to know that. So I'll cease. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Salah, did you want to comment to that, or?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is that the 2-week deadline is May the 5th. So you all need to have, Dee is laughing, but I wanted to make sure that I put that out there. The deadline to have these agencies to me, so that we can have them on the agenda, should be May the 5th, right? I need to know that by no later than May the 5th. Dee, I think what I'm going to do is hand you over to Brad, right?
I was not notified of the last meeting at the retreat. I was off the commission, and I had to go to county commissioners to be put back on. So
I'm aware of that, Dee.
What happened? Yeah. I mean, this is not the way, and the only thing that they put me here for was the fact that I have a financial background and a public service background. So if whatever y'all want to do, I will go along with it, but I need to make this a part of the record for the county commissioners and the city government to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Hold on just a minute, Bobby. So thank you, Dee. At the meeting, there was a discussion about the RSAA had come up many occasions, and we had discussed that. And so the group of people who were at the retreat requested that they be able to submit recommendations for other organizations. So that's how we came to that. I understand that you were not.
I
I was not notified of the meeting for
See,
the retreat.
I
And the city and
totally
county
understand
attorney
that.
have been notified that I was removed and not put on that mailing list for notification.
Right.
So, whatever mistake that happened, I'm amenable to mistakes happening, but I also want enough room in that to allow that we do it in a very intelligent atmosphere, rather than talking about who we like and who we trust. I don't care about that.
So did you make the recommendation that these individuals or organizations who are presenting, that they come with a presentation that shares their financial information and shows that they're viable?
That's one thing, but I think a universal RFP or RFQ ought to be put out.
I think the biggest concern, D, is that in this political arena and the time frame and the
You should have done
urgency.
this last year because Donald Trump is the president.
Right.
You should have done this last year. This is not relevant.
Right. So the concern is that, we have a 6-month window for
Right.
this extension. We're meeting once a month. We determined that there's work that needed to be done outside of these meetings, that these meetings would be an opportunity for the work that was done in these two groups to come back, provide what they've done, an update, and then give feedback, which is something that you're providing to us right now, and then taking that feedback and moving forward.
And
So,
I'm amicable to that. I know I'm not part of this group. I'm listed on the roster, but very reluctantly. And I'll say that for public notice. People like me who demand or who ask for clarity and also disclosure are not welcome. This is why nothing has ever worked in this community. It's because everybody kisses ass to the people they know and like.
No disrespect to anyone. No disrespect to anyone, but could we move on to Ms.
You can
Bobette
move on,
Mays for a
but you
You
moment?
got to stop, D.
You can move on.
I'm gonna say this before we finish.
You can,
The
Bobette,
things
you can
that you
say
said,
anything you
the
want. I'm
things
good.
that you said, we've already talked about what we were gonna ask for these
But I
people.
wasn't there, and I
But
got
listen,
excluded.
so D, we're giving, so Bobette,
No.
D, you're going to have,
You excluded me.
but you told everybody in the city council.
I didn't tell
and the county,
nobody
but
nothing.
you emailed me,
You
Bobette
did
Mays
not
personally.
appoint me to
And then
anything.
you sent all that out.
I
right,
would
D,
not-
so I'm gonna halt this
And
right
listen,
now.
You gotta
No.
stop, D.
This is not
Okay,
productive.
wait,
I'm gonna halt
pause.
this
Hey,
right now. This is not
pause.
productive.
D,
This is not
D
productive.
and Bobette, please listen. We
You
gotta
gotta
move
stop.
this moving forward in
Yeah,
a
we
way
gotta
that
go.
is productive. D, we definitely hear you and your concerns around how the organizations are being put forward, and that is something that we definitely need to talk about and discuss. And you're welcome to be. No one wants to put you out. You're welcome to be a part of those conversations. Hopefully, Brad can shed some guidance on the best path forward in reference to that. But we do need to stick to a deadline. We only have 6 months, and after this month, you know what I mean? The time is going down to 5 months. And so we do need to be really intentional. So if there are financial records, like D, if you could send me and Salah a list of the things that these organizations need to exhibit, need to have or send out prior to the meeting. I would prefer them to be prior to the meeting so we have time to look at them and really be able to understand them prior to the meeting. Then will you send that to me and Salah so that we can also put that in as a request for them to present? Then they can send that stuff to us prior to the meeting, and we can have that as a part of the vetting process.
Yes,
I do think it's
thank you.
valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Yvonne.
and Miss
Bobette.
Bobette, it's your turn. Bobette, are you there?
I'm here. My dog is
Okay.
barking and my son.
Sorry.
Stop, I'm in a meeting.
And you're unmuted, Bobette. Not sure who you're speaking to.
You heard me say, Lord have mercy. I'm being good. I think that all of that is good. I wanted to mention that Shiloh has worked with. We've done this before, having some organization up under us, not to take what we have, but we've had someone, and BIPA has done a great job, and before we already said that when the people come, we were going to be ready with questions and stuff to ask them about the next steps and whatever, whatever we was going to have for them to know what we're going to do. And it's not about favorites. It's about who can get the job done the best way that we need, what we need and what we want. And I think that was what we've discussed in the past. So I think that we're on the right track, but my thing is, let's just move on, please. Let's move on.
All right. So with community engagement, the deadline to submit organizations, wait a minute, let me do 2 deadlines. D, at your earliest convenience, can you get us those documents that these organizations need to submit prior to our meeting so that we have time to vet them? Bobette, and other commission members, if there's things that y'all want to see as well, can y'all please submit them to me and Salah by the end of this week so that we're not running into the deadline for the meeting. And so when we're talking, we're asking organizations to come to submit. They know that they have a timeline too, so that we can get this in the uniform process so that we have all of those, and we want to be uniform in our questions. So if y'all have questions that y'all really want to know from these organizations, can y'all please submit them by the end of this week? And if we can send out a follow-up email after this meeting, just asking for those things with the deadline for the end of this week for those questions and documents that y'all would like to see. The questions that we want to ask to those organizations so that they can be prepared, as well as the documents that we want to see as well, so that we can have all of that stuff and really develop a process. And so we're not asking different organizations different questions. We can be real succinct and unified in our approach. And if we can do that, and y'all can submit the recommendations. If y'all submit them by the 5th of May, those recommendations of organizations, then we can send them out the things that we need to them and the deadline for those organizations so that we can have that information prior to our commission meeting, so that it's not we're not trying to get all of that at the meeting without being able to really vet it and review it.
So the one
I'm
sorry, Sandra, give me just a second. So let me clarify. You're saying that, so D, I'm going to give you a date, because I don't want to say as soon as possible. I think if you can have it
Friday for everybody,
which is the 25th, April 25th, if you could have that list of documents, that would be great. Dewana, you're saying for the community engagement piece, you want to see something by the end of the week as well on the 25th?
As far as questions for the organization, that's not even just community engagement. That's questions for these organizations by the end of the week. Any questions that y'all want to have, for these organizations by the end of the week. And community engagement, we will submit reports as we meet, because we got to schedule our next meeting. And we will submit a calendar of like a set every other 2 weeks, a set schedule for our community engagement meetings. And then those who are interested in being on the 501c3 committee, please send your name to Salah, or when you send your email with your questions or documents that you would like to see, please note in there, I would like to be on the 501c3 committee.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that we can keep in mind that we can't have a quorum. So let's
just to clarify, D, the 25th, Friday the 25th is when we need your list. For the rest of the commission, Friday the 25th, we need any questions that you would like to ask the organization. And then May the 5th is the name of the organizations that you would like considered.
Yeah, the deadline.
Okay. All righty.
Would it be possible for us to just do a voice or a show of hands for individuals who would like to be a part of the 501c3 now, and you can go ahead and compile that list and we could be past that?
Well, you can actually put it in the chat. At least we'll have a record of it. If you want to be on the 501c3, please put your name in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
So I'm not trying to prolong this. I know we talked about it for a while, but I just want some clarity for myself. So essentially, are we stating, because I feel like when we're asking organizations about this possible relationship. I still feel like that normally there's an initial conversation about what that constitutes, what that's looking like. And I don't know if everybody's uniform on what exactly that entails. I know that I feel pretty good about if I was asking or speaking to somebody, but I just want to clarify that one, we're needing all this information that Ms. D, which I agree that is needed if we're making a decision on who we're wanting to work with, but are we essentially needing all that just for initial conversation or for Q&A with these organizations about a possible partnership?
It's to vet the organizations. At the end of the day, like we not like the conversation with these organizations will happen in the meeting, but we definitely need to use the time prior to get the information so that we can have the information to be able to vet these organizations in a unified way. Not necessarily Puka. Okay, go with your brother for a second.
So
But
I'd
not
like to make
so,
a recommendation, Dewana, if it's okay. I'd like to make a recommendation to you all. So I think it would be best if the individuals who are part of the 501c3 committee meets with the organizations that people are interested in, possibly considering. You have a list of questions that you ask them to be able to gain an understanding and to vet through them. And I say that because there was emails going back and forth between some of the commission members and Ms. Twitty, Swepson Twitty, excuse me, earlier today. And if there's a meeting and you all can kind of be that go-to, right, to vet and then be able to come back and provide the information, whether it be through an email or whatever it is, and then have those people come in and present at the next meeting. I think that would be probably a better way to go.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
what I was thinking.
Yeah, the same way as when we worked on the audit
Right.
subcommission. Like I feel like that was where I was kind of going with, is that
Okay.
I feel like that would be a better plan or play, and
Right.
then we can get a more formalized for the actual organizations that we are looking to select from. And then I also just want to say, Salah, I wasn't trying to make any plans today when I was responding back to her. I just saw that
I didn't think so.
that Tiffany's email was kind of unanswered, and I didn't know if there was room, if that was something that we were doing today, if she was available to just discuss. But I was just trying to basically let her know that we did see her email and we would be in touch.
Right. Thank you, Alfonso. No, I didn't think that you were trying to make plans. And she was very clear that she wanted to, whatever the commission wanted to do. So thank you for clarifying that. And I see DK's hand is up.
Hi, Salah and members. I just have a question, and I very well could have missed this, but have we documented a scope for what we want these organizations to do for us? Specifically, what are the things that we want them to do? I think it would be good, it'd be prudent to have that outlined in advance of those conversations as well.
Yes, so that's what the community, and no, we haven't discussed that, so thank you, TK. That's what the 501c3 committee will be doing. That's why I put the deadline for the questions and all of that stuff for Friday, so that when we meet next week, the 501c3 committee meets next week, we can have that conversation and really start working on that part. So no, that has not been done yet, DK. And you are right.
So you use those questions to create the scope. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, DK. And I see MZ's hand is up.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Just along the same lines as DK's question, scope of work for the community, has that been developed?
For the community engagement,
Yes.
Babette and or Dewana, has a scope of work been created for the community engagement piece?
May not officially, but y'all kind of, if Dewana or so can just recap what we said, like the next steps, I think that kind of summarized that was our last meeting of what we kind of went around of what community engagement was going to look like. And I mean, I don't mind to give a quick recap. I just don't want to step on anybody's.
No, please, Osandu, go ahead. Go ahead.
So essentially, MZ, like we initially had conversation because the first round that we went with community engagement was to go into communities and actually share about what they wanted to see or what harms like they wanted to see us address. But we kind of agreed that that's not really the steps for where we are now, that we already have our recommendations. Our main things are making sure that we're going into not just the legacy neighborhoods, but both the city and county pockets and neighborhoods to discuss, one, what we already have, see what harms may have come up, what restorations are in place now to make sure that our recommendations are still in line from what we submitted last year, and see if there needs to be any, not so much new recommendation, but any updates for where we need to engage now. I think that's what we kind of all agreed by meetings and that our core play was as far as community engagement.
Can I add in to that part of the ask of the community, and I took some time to think about it over these last couple of months, and I'm thinking about the money. You know, there's not a lot of money to address all the 39, right? So I think part of the question around what are the harms are, the question can be not which recommendations are prioritized, but what harms are prioritized to be addressed. And then as we figure out what the harms are that are most prevalent in our community, then we can link that up with some of the reparations programs that we have. Because again, I'm looking at the funds that we have, and it's not a lot to address all 39. So that might be one of the asks or one of the inquiry points to the community. And also, I'd like to be part of the community engagement group as well. So could you please add my name to that?
Yeah, I think that's very well said. We did discuss those aspects. I think if Mr. Barton was here, he spoke very highly of some of the things you just said. So we did kind of discuss that. And I do want to say, MZ, like I think that your email bounces back from some of the things that from the emails that are going out. So may just want to resend. I have your correct one, but I think that may want to just resend that to Salah, Dawana, to make sure that they have it, because I don't know if you're getting all of the information that we're sending out.
He should. I think what happened is that maybe his other email is still in the group.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the latest link, but I got some of the emails. So I think if my other email is in your account, just remove it, and then I'll email the commission with my actual email address.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Dee, I see your hand.
Yes, ma'am, you do. Listen, we got 40 folks in Shiloh. Since y'all Shiloh folk up in the house, who are not even connected to the sanitary sewer system due to discrimination. Okay, so these are strategic levers that can be put in place. And there are foundations who are willing to provide funds. So some of y'all, I'm an infrastructure construction person. You need to understand and know what's going on. And if it ain't about the money, it ain't about nothing, okay? I told you what my, and I don't have any constraints because I'm free, single, and disengaged. I don't have any. I do have an affiliation with a community of 70 Black churches who have real estate, who want to develop and provide affordable housing. But when I have information that there is this going on, and it's from heads of foundations who's go, well, what can we do? Because we know these people out in Shiloh ain't connected up to the sanitary sewer system. And one of them was my client, and his housing development is under 20 years old. So you need to know all this stuff. If you don't, you need to be able to leverage it. Thanks. See you soon.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you,
Trustee
D.
Babette, MZ.
Bobette, your hand is raised. MZ, did you still? Oh, well, Bobette, your hand raised.
I was just going to say, in reference to the sewer system and the sanitation for people that are in Shiloh, since we are in the house, that we've already been to the city. We were at one of the city council meetings. Miss Baines, he's already said it before. Miss Baines has, we've been asking for this. This will be the third time that it has gone before the city, and they're taking a look at it. So I don't want to overstep whatever they're going to do if they're going to use their resources, because if Miss Baines, I don't know if she wants to tell you, but there was money allocated many years ago that they were supposed to do that, and they never did it. So we are aware. We're not sleeping on it. It's just not, we might not be in spaces that you think about, but we were at city council, and Miss Baines has been on it. She's the liaison for Shiloh Community Association. And my second thing is, I want to say that I apologize if I got out of order when I was talking. I don't believe in negativity, or I don't believe in raising voices, and I believe in us being on one accord. But I am a human being, and I do have feelings. And I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. When somebody sends me an email with my name on it and says, "Hi, how are you doing?" and tells me about, "I saw you on television," and then goes on and rants and raves about being embarrassed and not being known about the meetings and all of that stuff, that's fine. I can take that. But when you take my email that you sent me personally and give it to the city council and the county commissioners, then I felt like I didn't feel it was justified. And I thought it was wrong, because if we're supposed to be on one accord, and we all want the same thing to happen, we all working, we all passionate. But when you send me an email like that, and then I get calls from the city and the county wanting to know why did they get an email that was sent to me. And so I just want to put that out there. I'm calming down, because I don't like this kind of stuff. I don't like this kind of stuff here that's going on. So if we could just go, I don't have any public comments, and if we could just go on with whatever you want to do next. Salah.
Okay, so what I would like to do, thank you, Bobette. What I would like to do is I want to recap what next steps are for the 501c3 piece, so that we can make sure that we are on track. So next steps, Dewana for 501c3 group.
Oh, you want me to recap it? I got you.
Mhm.
So next steps is all documents that we want to see from organizations that are being recommended is due by Friday, the 25th. All questions that we want answered by the organizations that are being recommended needs to be submitted by Friday. If our first 501c3 meeting will be next week, probably Wednesday next week. And if you are interested in being on that committee, please put your name in the chat, and so that the invites can be sent to you. And we will then at that meeting work on a scope based on the questions and the documentation that's been sent to us. We will work on a scope, and we will send that information out to the commission via email. Please check your emails via email following that next week, by Friday of next week, as well as all recommended organizations that are being recommended for consideration needs to be submitted to Salah by the 7th of May. Is that right? Following
7th.
next week by the 5th of May. To correct. The 5th of May. All organizations that are being recommended needs to be submitted to Salah by the 5th of May. And then the following week, the 501c3 group will then discuss, will schedule those organizations to be interviewed and vetted, and a report from those interviews will be sent out to the commission prior to our commission meeting.
And then just to add one more thing, that the scope of work will be created for the 501c3.
Yeah, that'll be created next week.
Okay.
And it will be sent out to commission. Please check your emails. Any questions, concerns, input, we welcome it all. Please, please, please respond in a timely fashion prior to our meeting the following week. MZ, I see your hand.
Yeah, just a quick question. I was listening to the layout. So the scope of work is going to be developed after people give recommendations for organizations.
No,
Did
the
I hear
scope
that
of
correctly?
work will be developed next week.
And
And the
then after the
recommendations are, the due date for recommendations is the 7th of May.
5th.
I mean the 5th. I'm sorry, I don't know why the 7th stuck in my head. The 5th of May, the 5th. So the following week, that's when the recommendations are due.
So MZ, the goal is to have the scope of work available with the questions, so that when these organizations, when there's the conversation that's had with these organizations by that 501c3 group, that they have that available for them to be able to look and review and respond to.
Cool. Yeah, that was the reason why I asked the question. I'd like to be on that committee as well, please.
Go ahead, MZ. Okay.
All righty. So we're done with that. Any other questions, comments, follow up with regards to the 501c3 piece? Okay. The next thing is public comment. We don't have any. I checked for you, Bobette, so we don't have any comment. And then finally, our next step. So what I want to share with you, that my next steps, as you all are out there doing this phenomenal work, is I'm going to send out the emails as a reminder of what is needed. So I'll get that out tomorrow morning. Additionally, my priority right now is the final report. So as you all are doing this work, my priority is to make sure that we have a final report, the final by the end of June. So I will be working diligently on that with our city and county team. We will keep you guys abreast of where we are with that. But that is my priority, is to get that final report completed by the end of June. And Dawana, if there are no other questions or comments, do you want to go ahead and close us out?
Salah, can you just give us a quick update, sorry, Dawana, about where y'all are with that final report?
Yeah, so I finally got the forward from Dr. Mullen. The interviews most of them have been transcribed. I just received interviews from Deborah Clark Jones, who was our first project manager, from Christine Edwards. The Bernicia's is pending, as well as Brenda. So we wanted to make sure that we got the voice of everyone who's been a part of this process. Tomorrow I'm meeting with our CAPE team to talk about what their process was. And then I have a spreadsheet where there's documents that I'm just going to start cutting and pasting and pulling all that information into the actual report. I have, can't say who, but I think we do have someone who's going to be our editor and graphic designer. I need to have a conversation with them. And so I think we're in a really good place. So the historical piece, the county, Catherine Cutshaw has done an exceptional job of laying down the historical pieces, like over 100 pages. That's going to be an appendices. And then she's going to just take some snippets of that information, and we're going to add that into the report as well. So we're in a good place. We're in a good place.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Yeah. You're welcome. All right, Dawana.
So if there are no further questions or concerns, and I'll pause. And if you have any more questions or concerns, please feel free to ask now.
Salah, what is the next meeting, our next full meeting? May.
I will let you all know.
Because I want to know if community engagement can probably meet the 1st and the 15th. That's on a Thursday.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
I'll
the-
have to let you. I'll have to let you all know because it'll definitely have to be a special called meeting.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, I'd like to thank you all for attending this meeting. And if all in favor of adjourning, can I get an aye?
Aye.
All right.
Any other ayes? I assume aye from
Aye,
everyone.
Mrs. Williams. Aye. Love you all. Aye.
All right. And
Aye.
I will reach out to all of y'all who put your names in the chat in reference to our meeting on Wednesday next week. It's 6 o'clock, a great time for y'all still, hopefully.
Yes. Bye.
All right. Well, I will send y'all an email.
Thank
All right. Bye,
you.
y'all.